Marcus Chen finished his third cup of coffee and stared at the radar screen again. The small dot had been there for 6 hours now, slowly drifting toward their mining station. At first, he thought it was just another piece of space junk. The asteroid belt was full of old ship parts and broken satellites. But this dot was different. It was too big to be junk and too small to be a ship. Marcus rubbed his tired eyes and looked again. The dot was still there, getting closer. "Hey, Rodriguez," Marcus called to his friend at the next workstation. "Come look at this." Rodriguez walked over, carrying his own cup of coffee. He was the station's security officer, but most days there was nothing to secure. The mining station was small and far from any major space routes. "What is it?" Rodriguez asked, looking at the screen. "I don't know," Marcus said. "It's been drifting toward us for hours. Could be a damaged ship." Rodriguez squinted at the radar display. "Looks like space trash to me. Probably fell off a cargo hauler." "It's too big for trash," Marcus said. "And look at how it's moving. It's not tumbling like debris would. Something is controlling it, even if just barely." Rodriguez shrugged. "So what if it's a ship? They can call for help themselves. We're miners, not rescue workers." Marcus nodded. But he kept watching the screen. Something about the object bothered him. In his 10 years as a station engineer, he had seen lots of space junk. This felt different. 2 hours later, the object was close enough for a visual scan. Marcus switched on the external cameras and zoomed in. What he saw made him sit up straight in his chair. It was definitely a ship, but unlike any ship Marcus had ever seen. Most human ships were built with straight lines and sharp angles. This ship had curves that flowed like water. The hull looked almost alive, with smooth surfaces that seemed to shift color in the starlight. Strange crystal formations stuck out from various parts of the ship. They looked like they should be decorations. But Marcus's engineering mind told him they were probably part of the ship's systems. The whole thing was beautiful and alien at the same time. "Rodriguez, you need to see this," Marcus called out. Rodriguez came back over and whistled softly when he saw the ship. "That's not human," he said. "No kidding," Marcus replied. "But look at the damage." The ship's hull had several large holes in it. Twisted metal hung from the wounds like broken bones. Some of the crystal formations were dark and cracked. The ship was clearly in bad shape. "Whoever built this, they need help," Marcus said. "Or they're dead," Rodriguez said. "That ship looks like it went through a war." Marcus studied the alien vessel more carefully. The damage was severe, but not total. Some sections still seemed to have power. He could see faint lights moving under the hull's surface, like blood flowing through veins. "I'm going to bring it in," Marcus said, standing up. "What?" Rodriguez grabbed his arm. "Are you crazy? We don't know anything about that ship. It could be dangerous. It could also have people inside who need help," Marcus said. "Besides, when will we ever get another chance to study alien technology?" Rodriguez shook his head. "Marcus, think about this. That ship is alien. We don't know what weapons it might have. We don't know what diseases its crew might carry. We don't even know if its reactor is stable." Marcus understood Rodriguez's concerns, but his curiosity was stronger than his fear. Ever since he was a child, he loved taking things apart to see how they worked. This alien ship was the ultimate puzzle. "Look at it," Marcus said, pointing at the screen. "Half the ship is destroyed. If they wanted to hurt us, they would have done it already. And if there are survivors inside, they'll die if we don't help." Rodriguez was quiet for a long moment. Finally, he sighed. "If you're going to do this, at least be careful. Don't bring it into the main station. Use Cargo Bay 3. It's isolated from the rest of the station." Marcus grinned and clapped Rodriguez on the shoulder. "Don't worry. I'll be careful." Marcus suited up and climbed into his maintenance pod. The small ship was designed for fixing equipment and moving cargo around the station. It had mechanical arms and a small towing beam, perfect for bringing in the alien vessel. As Marcus flew toward the alien ship, he got a better look at its design. The more he studied it, the more amazed he became. The curves weren't just beautiful. They were functional. The ship's shape would help it move through space more efficiently than any human design. The crystal formations were even more interesting. They seemed to glow with their own inner light, creating patterns that shifted and changed. Marcus had never seen anything like them. When Marcus got close enough to attach the towing beam, he noticed something that made his heart race. The alien ship was responding to his presence. The lights under its hull grew brighter, and some of the crystal formations began to pulse with soft blue light. "It knows I'm here," Marcus whispered to himself. Marcus attached the towing beam and slowly pulled the alien ship toward the station. The journey took an hour, and the whole time Marcus watched the alien vessel with fascination. The lights continued to pulse, almost like the ship was trying to communicate. When they reached Cargo Bay 3, Marcus carefully guided the alien ship inside. The bay was large enough to hold the vessel with room to spare. Marcus sealed the bay and ran atmospheric tests. The air was clean, no radiation, no toxic gases, no dangerous bacteria. Marcus docked his pod and walked into the cargo bay, standing in front of the alien ship. He felt very small. The vessel was about 50 meters long and 20 meters wide. Up close, the hull looked even more organic, like it had been grown rather than built. Marcus walked around the ship, looking for an entrance. Human ships had airlocks and hatches, but this ship seemed to be one smooth surface. Finally, Marcus found a section where the hull was slightly darker than the rest. When he touched it, the surface rippled like water and an opening appeared. Marcus smiled. This was going to be interesting. Word count, 1,000 to 100. Marcus stepped through the opening in the alien ship's hull. The entrance sealed itself behind him with a soft whisper, like silk brushing against silk. For a moment, he stood in complete darkness. Then the ship came alive around him, soft blue. Lights began to glow along the walls, creating a path deeper into the vessel. The corridor was smooth and curved, with no sharp corners anywhere. Marcus felt like he was walking inside a living creature rather than a machine. The air inside the ship was warm and humid. It smelled strange, not bad, just different, like flowers Marcus had never seen before. Each step he took caused the lights to grow brighter, as if the ship was welcoming him. Marcus pulled out his scanner and checked the atmosphere. The air was safe to breathe. Though it had more moisture than humans usually preferred, his scanner also detected something else, very faint life signs somewhere deeper in the ship. "Someone's alive in here," Marcus whispered to himself. He followed the glowing path through several corridors. The ship's interior was beautiful but alien. The walls had patterns that seemed to move when Marcus wasn't looking directly at them. Strange symbols appeared and disappeared like writing made of light. After 5 minutes of walking, Marcus reached a larger chamber. The room was circular, with a high ceiling that glowed like a gentle sunrise. In the center of the room were 3 large pods made of the same crystal material he had seen on the ship's exterior. Marcus approached the first pod carefully. Inside, he could see a figure lying motionless. It was definitely not human. The being was tall and thin, with pale blue skin that seemed to shimmer in the light. Its face was elegant and angular, with large eyes that were closed in sleep. Long, silver hair flowed around its shoulders like liquid metal. Marcus checked the other 2 pods. Each contained a similar being, all unconscious and perfectly still. They were beautiful in an otherworldly way, like living artwork. But something was wrong. Marcus's scanner was beeping with warnings. The pod's power levels were dropping rapidly. Red lights began to flash on the crystal surfaces, and a low alarm sound filled the chamber. "Oh no," Marcus said, reading his scanner's display. "Their life support is failing." Marcus ran back to his maintenance pod and grabbed his emergency toolkit. When he returned to the alien ship, the alarms were louder and the red lights were flashing faster. Marcus studied the pods more carefully. Each one had crystal connections that led to a central power core in the ceiling. But the core was cracked and sparking. It was clearly damaged from whatever had attacked the ship. Marcus tried to understand how the alien technology worked. The power flowed through the crystals like electricity through wires. But the patterns were completely different from human systems. Every time Marcus thought he understood something, the readings would change. Hours passed as Marcus worked. He tried connecting his portable power unit to the pods, but the alien systems rejected human energy. The crystals wouldn't accept the wrong kind of power. The life signs in the pods grew weaker. According to Marcus's estimates, the beings inside had maybe 6 hours left before their life support failed completely. Marcus sat down and rubbed his tired eyes. He had been working for 12 hours straight, but nothing was working. Human technology and alien technology were just too different. Then Marcus remembered something: his neural implant, the device that let him interface with computer systems, had bioelectric sensors. What if the alien systems responded to biological signals instead of just electrical ones? Marcus placed his hand on the nearest pod and activated his neural implant. At first, nothing happened. Then, slowly, the crystal began to glow brighter. Yes, Marcus shouted. The alien systems were designed to work with living beings, not just machines. Marcus's bioelectric field was the key to making the connection. But one hand wasn't enough to power all 3 pods. Marcus needed to create a permanent bridge between his station's reactor and the alien life support systems. Marcus worked frantically, running cables from his maintenance pod to the ship's power core. He had to modify the connections to carry both electrical current and bioelectric signals. It was like trying to make a river flow uphill. Every few hours, Marcus checked on the beings in the pods. Their life signs continued to drop, but more slowly now. He was buying them time, but not enough. The breakthrough came when Marcus realized that human electrical frequencies actually worked better with the alien systems than their own damaged power cores. Human power ran at 60 cycles per second, while the alien systems preferred 58 cycles. Marcus's jury-rig connection was actually more efficient than the original design. Marcus made the final connections as the sun rose outside the station. He had been working for 18 hours without sleep, running on coffee and determination. His hands shook from exhaustion, but he managed to complete the power bridge. The pods hummed to life with renewed energy. The red warning lights turned blue, then green. The alarms stopped, replaced by a gentle musical tone that sounded like contentment. Marcus collapsed into a chair and watched the life support systems stabilize. The beings in the pods looked healthier already. Their pale blue skin gained a warmer color, and their breathing became deeper and more regular. 2 hours later, the first pod began to open. The crystal surface dissolved like morning mist, and the being inside sat up slowly, its large eyes open, revealing irises that shifted color like oil on water. The being looked around the chamber with confusion, then focused on Marcus. For a long moment, they stared at each other. The alien being studied Marcus with obvious curiosity. It had never seen a human before. The being spoke in a musical language that Marcus couldn't understand, but its tone was clearly questioning. It wanted to know what had happened. Marcus pointed to his improvised power connections and then to the pods. The alien being followed his gestures, and his eyes grew wide with amazement. The other 2 pods opened, and their occupants sat up as well. All 3 beings looked at Marcus's crude but effective repairs with expressions of disbelief. One of them, the tallest, with intricate patterns glowing softly under its skin, spoke in broken but recognizable English. "You saved us," it said, its voice like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. "How did you make our systems work with your power?" Marcus shrugged, suddenly feeling embarrassed. "I just fixed what was broken. Your life support needed power, so I gave it power." The 3 beings exchanged glances. Marcus had no idea he had just accomplished something their finest engineers had said was impossible. Word count 1,000 to 100. The 3 alien beings stood gracefully, moving like dancers despite having been unconscious for hours. Marcus noticed they all wore simple, flowing clothes that seemed to change color with their movements, but the tallest one, who had spoken to him, wore something different, a delicate mask that covered the upper half of her face. "I am Lyra," said the one who spoke English. She gestured to her companions. "This is Kale. And this is—" She paused, looking at the masked figure with respect. "This is our leader." Marcus nodded politely. I'm Marcus Chen. I'm an engineer at this mining station. He pointed toward the entrance. Your ship was badly damaged when we found it. I brought you here to help. You have done more than help, Kale said. His voice deeper than Lyra's, but just as musical. You have performed a miracle. Marcus felt embarrassed. I just connected some cables. It wasn't that complicated. The three aliens exchanged looks again. Marcus was starting to realize that these looks meant something important, but he didn't. Know what? May we examine your work? The masked leader asked. Her voice was different from the others, more formal, with an accent that suggested authority. Sure, Marcus said, though I should warn you, it's pretty messy. I had to use whatever parts I could find. Marcus led them to the power connections he had made. The aliens studied his work with intense concentration. They spoke to each other in their musical language, and Marcus caught tones of amazement and disbelief. This should not be possible, Lyra whispered, running her fingers along one of Marcus's cables. What shouldn't be possible? Marcus asked. Human technology and Velithri technology. Kale explained. They operate on completely different principles. Our scientists have studied human systems for decades. The consensus was that our technologies could never work together. Velithri? Marcus repeated. Is that what you call yourselves? Yes? The masked leader said. We are the Velithri, and you have just proven our scientists wrong. Marcus scratched his head. I don't understand. I just needed to get power to your life support, so I found a way to make it work. But how did you make it work? Lyra asked urgently. Our finest engineers couldn't restart our quantum computing core after it was damaged, yet somehow, your crude human systems have it running better than original specifications. Marcus looked at the glowing crystals that pulsed with steady light. Your quantum core is working. I thought I was just powering the life support pods. You were, Kale said, but the life support is connected to everything else on the ship. When you created the power bridge, you accidentally restarted our entire computer system. The masked leader moved to a section of the wall and placed her hand on it. The wall came alive with displays showing complex readouts that looked like flowing water made of light. Show him, she said to Lyra. Lyra guided Marcus to the display. These are our ship's efficiency ratings, she explained, before the attack. Our quantum core operated at 87% efficiency. This was considered excellent. Marcus looked at the flowing numbers. Even though he couldn't read the alien symbols, he could see the patterns. And now, 94%, Kale said with wonder in his voice. Your human electrical frequencies create a resonance with our quantum fields that we never knew was possible. Marcus stared at the display. You mean I accidentally made your computer better than it was before? Much better. The masked leader said, you have created something that should not exist. A hybrid technology that combines the best of both. Our species' knowledge. Marcus felt a strange mixture of pride and confusion. I still don't understand why this is such a big deal. I mean, it's cool that it worked better than expected. But, Marcus, Lyra said seriously, what you have done here could change the relationship between our species forever. This hybrid technology could revolutionize both human and Velithri civilizations. The masked leader stepped forward. There is something else you must know, something that makes your achievement even more significant. She reached up and slowly removed her mask. Marcus gasped. The face revealed was stunning, with high cheekbones and skin that seemed to glow within her. Lied. But what made Marcus's heart stop were the intricate patterns that traced across her forehead and cheeks, patterns that pulsed with soft, golden light. I am Queen Zephira of the Velithri Consortium, she said formally, ruler of 17 star systems and 3 billion souls. Marcus's mouth fell open. You're a queen. I am. Zephira said, and you, Marcus Chen, have just saved the life of the Velithri royal family. Marcus sat down heavily on a nearby crate. A queen. I saved. A queen. You did more than save me, Zephira said, sitting beside him with surprising casualness for royalty. You solved a problem that has puzzled our greatest minds for generations. What problem? How to make human and Velithri technology work together, Kale explained. For 50 years, our species have traded goods and knowledge. but our technologies remain completely separate. What you did in one night has opened possibilities we never dreamed of. Zephyra nodded. My ship was fleeing from assassins within my own court. They had compromised our security systems, systems that were supposed to be impossible to hack. How did they hack them? Marcus asked. By thinking like Velidri, Zephyra said sadly. Our technology is precise, logical, predictable. The assassins knew exactly how our systems would respond because they follow strict rules. But you don't think like a Velidri, Lyra added, looking at Marcus. You think like a human. You make connections that seem impossible to us. You ignored our rules. Kale said, you connected systems that shouldn't work together, and somehow made them work better than ever before. Marcus was beginning to understand. So my hybrid repairs aren't just keeping you alive. They're making your ship unpredictable. Exactly, Zephyra said with a smile. The assassin's weapons were designed to exploit the weaknesses in pure Velidri technology. But your human modifications have created something they cannot predict or counter. Marcus looked around at his crude cables and jury rig connections. So my messy engineering accidentally made you safer? Your brilliant engineering, Zephyra corrected gently, has given us hope. A new alarm suddenly echoed through the ship, different from the life support warnings Marcus had heard earlier. This alarm was urgent and threatening. Zephyra's face went pale. They have found us. Who? Marcus asked, though he was afraid he already knew the answer. The assassins, Zephyra said, standing quickly. And they have brought a fleet. Word count, 1,200. Marcus rushed to the ship's display wall as Queen Zephyra placed her hands on the glowing surface. The wall erupted with images and data that flowed like liquid light. Marcus couldn't read the alien symbols, but the pictures were clear enough. 5 large warships approaching the mining station. How long do we have? Marcus asked. 20 minutes, Lyra said, studying the readings. Maybe less. Marcus felt his heart racing. Can we run? Your ship seems to be working now. These are military vessels, Kale explained grimly. They are faster and more heavily armed than our royal ship, even at full power. We cannot outrun them. Zephyra's face was calm, but Marcus could see worry in her golden eyes. The assassins have brought a full attack squadron. They clearly want to make sure I don't escape this time. What about the mining station? Marcus asked. There are 40 people working here. The assassins will not harm humans, Zephyra said. They want only me, but they will destroy anything that helps me escape. Marcus looked at his crude repairs. Cables and connections that looked like a child's art project compared to the elegant alien. Technology. Is there anything special about the modifications I made? Anything that might help us? Zephyra and her companions exchanged another of their meaningful looks. Show him the phase variance readings, Zephyra ordered. Lyra waved her hand over. The display and new patterns appeared. These looked different from the other readouts. Chaotic and unpredictable, like lightning frozen in crystal. What am I looking at? Marcus asked. Something that should be impossible. Kale said with excitement. Your human power systems are causing our quantum fields to fluctuate in ways we have never seen before. Is that bad? We don't know. Zephyra admitted. Our scientists will need years to study what you have created. But the early readings suggest something extraordinary. Like what? Lyra pointed to a section of the display where the patterns seemed to split into multiple layers. The quantum fluctuation suggests that parts of our ship are existing in multiple dimensional phases. At the same time, Marcus blinked. I'm sorry. What? Your repairs have given our ship the ability to partially exist in different dimensions. Zephyra explained. Theoretically, this could allow us to pass through solid matter while maintaining structural integrity. You mean like a ghost? Marcus asked. More like controlled phasing, Kale said. But we don't know how to control it. The effect seems random. Marcus studied the chaotic patterns on the display. 2 Velidri eyes. They probably looked completely unpredictable. But Marcus had spent years working with unstable power systems. He could see the underlying rhythm in the chaos. It's not random, Marcus said slowly. Look at these spikes here and here. They happen every 12 seconds. And this smaller pattern repeats every 3 seconds. The three Velithri stared at him. You can predict the phase fluctuations, Zephyra asked. Maybe, Marcus said. If I can tap into the ship's navigation system, I might be able to time the phases with the ship's movement. That would require you to interface directly with our quantum core, Lyra said. No human has ever done that before. No human has ever repaired a Royal Velithri ship before either, Marcus pointed out. But I did that yesterday. Zephyra made a decision. Do it. Marcus placed his hands on the display wall and activated his neural implant immediately. His mind was flooded with alien data streams. It felt like trying to drink from a waterfall. The Velithri quantum core didn't think in straight lines like human computers. It processed information in spirals and loops, connecting everything to everything else. Marcus felt dizzy as his human brain tried to keep up. But slowly, he began to understand the patterns. The quantum core wasn't just a computer. It was almost alive, constantly adapting and learning. Marcus's electrical signals were teaching. It knew ways to think. I can feel the phase shifts, Marcus said, his eyes closed in concentration. They're not random. The ship is trying to find a stable configuration, but it keeps bouncing between different dimensional states. Can you stabilize it? Zephyra asked urgently. Through the ship's sensors? Marcus could see the assassin fleet getting closer. Better, Marcus said with a grin. I can control it. Marcus began to work with the quantum core, his human intuition, guiding the alien logic. Where the Velithri would try to eliminate the chaos, Marcus embraced it. He learned to ride the quantum fluctuations like waves on an ocean. The ship around them began to change. The walls became translucent, and Marcus could see the mining station through them. They were still physically connected, but they were also somehow separate. Incredible. Kale whispered, We are existing in multiple phases simultaneously. How does it feel? Zephyra asked Marcus. Strange, Marcus admitted. Like we're here and not here at the same time. But I think I can move us between phases at will. The assassins are in weapons range, Lyra announced. They are charging their cannons. Marcus felt the ship's systems respond to his thoughts. The quantum core had learned to interpret his neural patterns, creating a direct link between his mind and the ship's capabilities. Let's give them something to think about, Marcus said. He guided the ship into a full phase shift. From the outside, the royal vessel would suddenly become completely invisible and intangible. The assassin's weapons would pass right through. Empty space. But Marcus discovered he could do more than just hide. By partially shifting different sections of the ship, he could make weapons appear from seemingly empty space, while keeping the rest of the vessel protected. This is beyond our wildest dreams. Zephyra said, watching her ship perform impossible maneuvers. You have turned our vessel into something that exists outside normal physics. The assassins are firing, Kale reported. Their weapons are having no effect. Marcus could see the enemy ships on his displays, their captains clearly. Confused by what they were seeing, their target kept appearing and disappearing, sometimes solid, sometimes like a ghost. They don't know how to fight something they can't predict, Marcus realized. Their tactics are based on logical Velithri responses, but this ship doesn't follow Velithri logic anymore. It follows human logic, Zephyra said with admiration. Chaotic, creative, and completely unpredictable. Can we fight back? Marcus asked. Our ship has weapons, Lyra said, but they were damaged in the original attack. Marcus grinned as he felt the ship's systems respond to his thoughts. Then let's fix them. The human way. The assassins had brought superior numbers and firepower, but they had never faced an enemy that could rewrite the rules of physics in the middle of a battle. Word count, 1,000 to 100. Marcus closed his eyes and let his mind flow into the ship's quantum core. The sensation was incredible. He could feel every system, every connection, every pulse of energy flowing through the hybrid technology he had created. The assassins are moving into attack formation, Lyra reported. 5 ships surrounding us. They expect us to either run or fight using traditional tactics, Zephyra observed. But you have given us a third option. Marcus grinned without opening his eyes. We're going to confuse them so badly they won't know what hit them. The first assassin ship fired a massive energy beam at their position. Marcus shifted the royal vessel into partial phase, and the weapon passed harmlessly through where they had been a moment before. Impossible, came a voice over the communication system. It was the assassin commander, speaking in the musical Veladri language. No ship can phase that quickly. Marcus understood the problem. Veladri technology was precise and predictable. Their ships moved in calculated patterns, their weapons fired at predetermined intervals, and their tactics followed ancient military doctrine. But Marcus wasn't Veladri. He made the ship appear solid just long enough to fire back, then shifted into ghost mode before the return fire arrived. The assassins found themselves shooting at empty space while energy beams appeared from nowhere to strike their hulls. How is he doing this? Kale whispered in amazement. He's not following any rules. Zephyra said with wonder in her voice. Every move is completely unpredictable. Marcus felt the ship respond to his every thought. When he wanted to go left, they went left. When he wanted to disappear, they disappeared. When he wanted to attack from an impossible angle, the ship found a way to make it happen. The assassin commander was getting frustrated. All ships, concentrate fire on Grid 7 Alpha. Marcus had the ship phase shift just as 5 energy beams converged on their position. Then he appeared behind the enemy formation and fired at all 5 ships simultaneously, something that should have been impossible with the ship's limited weapons. How do we fire 5 shots at once? Lyra asked, checking her instruments. I split our weapons systems across multiple dimensional phases, Marcus explained. Still deep in connection with the quantum core, each shot existed in a different phase until it hit the target. The assassin ships were now moving erratically, trying to find a pattern in Marcus's movements. But there was no pattern. Marcus was making decisions based on instinct, emotion, and pure human stubbornness. This is Admiral Corvin of the Assassination Fleet. The enemy commander announced, a known vessel, your technology violates the laws of physics. Surrender now and we will study your ship instead of destroying it. Marcus opened his eyes and looked at Queen Zephyra. Should I answer him? Zephyra smiled, the first genuine smile Marcus had seen from her. Please do. Marcus activated the communication system. Admiral Corvin, this is Marcus Chen of the Human Mining Station Epsilon 7. Your assassination attempt violates the laws of common decency. How about you surrender to me instead? There was a long pause. Then Corvin's voice returned, filled with confusion. Human? What is a human doing? On the Queen's ship? Fixing it, Marcus said simply, and making it better than it ever was before. Impossible. Corvin shouted. Human technology is primitive, crude. It cannot improve Veladri systems. Want to bet? Marcus asked. He guided the ship into a maneuver that made Zephyra gasp. The royal vessel split into 5 separate phase images, each one appearing solid to the assassin's sensors. All 5 images moved in different directions, making it look like the ship had multiplied. The assassin ships fired frantically at all 5 targets, but their weapons hit nothing but empty space. Meanwhile, the real ship, existing in a 6th phase that their sensors couldn't detect, moved freely among them. Which one is real? An assassin pilot screamed over the communication channel. All of them, Marcus said cheerfully. And none of them. Depends on how you look at it. Marcus brought all 5 phase images together in the center of the enemy formation, then shifted them all solid at the same time. The sudden appearance of 5 overlapping ships created a massive energy pulse that overloaded the assassin's sensors. While they were blind, Marcus used the ship's tractor beam, enhanced by the hybrid technology, to work across multiple dimensions, to carefully disable their weapons and engines. He didn't destroy the ships or hurt their crews. He just made it impossible for them to fight or run. Admiral Corvin, Marcus said politely, I believe you are defeated. The communication channel was silent for several minutes. Finally, Corvin's voice returned, much quieter than before. How? He asked simply. I don't know. Marcus said honestly. I just fixed what was broken and trusted it to work. Queen Zephyra took over the communication. Admiral Corvin, you and your crews will be taken into custody for treason against the Velithri Consortium. But first, I want you to understand something important. What, Your Majesty, in one day, this human has accomplished more than our finest scientists achieved in 50 years. He has created a technology that combines the best of both our species. And he did it not for glory or power, but simply to help someone in need. Marcus felt embarrassed by the praise. I just did what any engineer would do. No, Zephyra said firmly, you did what any human would do. And that is exactly why my people need to learn from yours. 3 hours later, the assassin ships were secured and their crews were in custody. Marcus sat in the cargo bay of his mining station, watching as Velithri engineers studied his crude repairs with expressions of absolute amazement. We will need months to understand what you have created, Lyra told him. Maybe years. Take your time, Marcus said. I'm not going anywhere. Queen Zephyra approached, now wearing royal robes that seemed to be made of liquid starlight. Marcus. Chen, I have a proposition for you. What kind of proposition? I want you to become my chief innovation advisor. Help my people learn to think like humans. Teach us how to create the impossible. Marcus scratched his head. I don't know anything about being an advisor. I'm just an engineer. Exactly. Zephyra said with a smile. You solve problems without worrying about whether the solution should be possible. That is exactly what the Velithri Consortium needs. Marcus looked around at his small mining station, then at the magnificent alien ship he had somehow improved. What would happen to this place? It becomes the first human Velithri Technology Exchange Center, Zephyra announced, a place where our species can learn from each other and create wonders that neither could achieve alone. Marcus grinned. When do we start? Word count, 1,000 to 100.